Thanks for listening to English Go Podcast. To listen without advertisements or to read episode transcripts, visit englishgo.co.uk for more information.
Normally, being a little extra can be a bit much, but when it comes to healthcare, it pays to be extra. And United Healthcare makes it easy with Health Protector Guard fixed indemnity insurance plans. Underwritten by Golden Rule Insurance Company, they supplement your primary plan, helping you manage out-of-pocket costs without the usual requirements and restrictions like deductibles and enrollment periods. So when it comes to covering your medical bills, you can feel good about being a little extra. Visit uh1.com to find the Health Protector Guard plan for you.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Late bloomers tend to have more curiosity. They tend to have more resilience.
There's stories and mythology that this country has woven around Black men.
This is the cavalry, right? These are the leaders, the hometown heroes and local leaders. And we are...
It's a survival mechanism to just be like worried of police.
What if everything we've been taught is just all wrong?
What's worth more than this fear right now?
And that rising after failure is part of the glory of being a human being.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
I should be able to pick up my learner's driver's license very soon. And I've been driving for between 15 to 20 years now, so why on earth am I just about to get my learner's driver's license, my beginner's driver's license? I suppose I should start at the beginning of this whole experience. As you hopefully know, I am living in Japan now, and I took my my British driver's license with me to Japan. And the other day, I was looking at it and I noticed that it was due to expire very soon, in like a few weeks. And I thought, oh dear, what happens if it does expire? So I started to look on the UK government website to see if I could renew it. And you can renew the whole thing online, and it only cost £14. Very cheap, very easy, very quick to do. But you're supposed to live in the UK when you do that. It says like you must be a resident of the UK to be able to use a service. And technically, I don't think I am a resident of the UK anymore. I think I'm a resident of Japan. But to be honest, the whole thing is really confusing, and there's like a resident for tax status, there's a resident for living status, there's all these different definitions of what a resident is. So I'm not sure if I'm allowed to use that service or not. I probably could, I could fill it all in and pay £14, and then I would get a card delivered to maybe my parents' address in England, but I don't actually really know if I'm allowed to do that or not. So I thought, no problem, I'll just exchange my English driver's license for a Japanese driver's license. So, in order to do that, I had to pay this company, I think it was about £24 to translate my British driver's license into Japanese. And you're not allowed to do it yourself. You have to get one of two companies to do it. And that took about a week or so. And then I was able to get an appointment at a local, driver's license center, I suppose. So we went along to that yesterday. And, when I say we, I mean me and my wife, who's been doing all of this, to be perfectly honest, because, it's a lot easier for her to do. Her Japanese is amazing compared to mine. So we went along to this appointment, and I think this place opened at 7 a.m. And we got there for, when was it now? It was 8. Did we get there for 8 or 9? I can't remember now. It was only yesterday. I can't remember. That's how my mind feels after yesterday's experience. I didn't know. So we got there for 8 or 9. And there was a big queue of people already there. So they must have arrived at 7 or something. Well, actually, it wasn't that big. Let's be honest. There was about probably 30 people in front of us, which isn't that much. But yeah, it was more than I was expecting, if I'm honest, because, you know, how many foreign people are living in the area that I'm living in? Most foreign people are living in Tokyo, so I didn't really think there'd be that much. But anyway, so about 30 people in front of us, and this lady was coming along and speaking to everyone individually and asking, like, what's, what driver's license do you have? What country does it come from? What's your mobile phone number? And some questions like that. And then she was giving them, like, a number and saying, come back at this time, come back at this time. So she came around to me and gave me this number and said, come back in 4 hours. I thought, what, 4 hours? You've got to be joking, haven't you? So I thought, what on earth are we going to do for 4 hours? I suppose it was long enough to go home. So we had to get a bus and then a train and then a bus to get to this place. And we could have got a bus and a train and a bus and gone all the way home, and maybe stayed there for, I don't know, a couple of hours and then got another bus and another train and another bus to get back here. But it just seemed like so much effort and then like a waste of money. So we just stayed in this area and just waited for 4 hours. So I don't know, what did we do? We went, did a bit of like shopping and ate some food at we didn't go to a restaurant actually. We just bought some food from like a food market sort of place and just sat outside and ate it. It was sunny, but it was too windy and I was a bit cold. Anyway, we headed back to this place, and my appointment was meant to be around 2. So we got there at like 15 minutes before 2. And then we waited, and I think we waited about an hour to be able to go into this place. And when we got into this room, it was a very small room. It had 5 desks in, and they were all like squashed up very close together. I wasn't really sure, really, if there were 30 people ahead of me, why did it take 4 hours to process everyone? And I wasn't last in the queue. There were still some other people waiting to go in after me. So I don't know why it took so long. Or if you 5 desks and 5 people, dealing with 5 different people at a time. And the whole experience for me, like my sort of like interview took around, I don't know, I didn't really time it. It was probably like somewhere between half an hour to an hour. So I guess it was a fairly long time. But anyway, part of it was straightforward. Part of it was not straightforward. There were lots of questions I was asked. I was asked questions about, first of all, they wanted proof that I'd been in England for, I think it was 3 months or over since obtaining my license, since getting my license, my driver's license. And I got my driver's license in, I think, like around 2005. So, quite a while ago now. And they wanted some proof that since 2005, I'd been in England for at least 3 months. And I thought this was really weird. It's like trying to prove to someone that you're British when you're British. It's a weird feeling. It's like, yeah, I know you've got a British passport and I know you've got a British driver's license, but I don't really believe that you've lived in Britain for that long. Which is weird. It's just a strange feeling. So I think they were able to look at some dates in my passport and like, oh, you left the country on this date and you came back to Japan on this date, and there aren't any other like entry and exit stamps in your passport, so you must have been in England for that long. But they could only prove, by looking at my passport, they could only prove that I was in England for so many days. It was over 3 months, but it wasn't over a year, apparently. So they couldn't prove that I'd been in England for over a year since I had my passport in 2005. Not unless I gave them some extra documents. I'm not sure what documents were proof. Maybe something like passing my university degree, and it's a 4-year course. So that proves you've been in England for 4 years, something like that. Or like some kind of letter of employment, from an employer that says, this person has worked for me as an employee for this many years. That would be proof too. But then, of course, you'd probably have to get those documents translated, and then there's more delay. And I only have 2 weeks left on my UK driver's license at this point. And if it expires, then I can't exchange it in Japan. And I can't renew it because I'm not in England. So what do I do? I guess I would have to take a whole driving test again and an exam and in Japan and pay for that and all the time that takes. And oh my God. So I thought okay, you can't prove that I've been in England for a year, but you can prove that I've been in England for 3 months. And there's a penalty when that happens. So the penalty is that you have to have a special learner driver mark, a beginner driver mark on your car for a whole year. I don't know why. To be honest, I can't understand why that's the reason. It's it makes absolutely no sense if you think about it, does it? So I don't need to prove that I've been driving a car in England for a year. I just need to prove that I've been in England for a year with a British driver's license for a year. It doesn't, I could have had the driver's license and not driving a car for a whole year. But depending on whether you've been, they can prove you've been in England for 1 year or 3 months. You have to have or not have this beginner's mark, this learner driver mark. So in England, we have what's known as L plates, and you've got this little, a white square with a red L on it, and the L stands for learner. In Japan, they've got this weird, V-shaped, multicolored logo, which means beginner. Actually, no, I've got this wrong, slightly wrong, sorry. Learner plates are for when you're learning to drive, of course. And then after you've learned to drive, you can have these optional plates, and they're white square with a green P on it, which means passed, or, just passed, just recently passed. And you're allowed to have that on your car for, I think, probably a year. I'd have to check. I haven't looked at these rules for a long time, but it's completely optional. You don't have to put that on at all if you don't want to. I didn't put these P plates, as we call them. I didn't put P plates on my car when I'd finished learning to drive. I just went out there and just carried on driving. I don't know why I didn't put P plates on. It's probably a good idea, but I think I didn't want other people to treat me differently on the road and think oh no, it's a new driver. They're going to be really slow. We'll overtake them, pass them. In my car, I'll accelerate around them. I didn't want people to treat me like that, so that's probably why I didn't have any. But now I get to have them when I'm in Japan. So it's going to be weird. It's sort of like advertising that I'm a new driver to everyone, a new driver with around 20 years of experience. But to be perfectly honest, I don't think it's such a bad thing because, yes, I've got all of that experience driving a car. But that's in England, and Japan is a different country. And although we both drive on the same side of the road, the rules are a little different. So I think it's probably a good thing. I think all people who are exchanging their license, from a foreign license to a Japanese license, should probably have to have these sort of beginner drivers marks on their car. It just seems like a sensible thing to do, and they're very cheap, so there's no real loss, is there? There's no real negative from it. It's just good to advertise to everyone. Wait a minute, this person is, in my case, yes, not a new driver, but sort of like a new driver in Japan. Anyway, that's the whole story around getting my what my driver's license sort of renewed so I don't lose it, so it doesn't expire, and I don't have any driver's license. But I don't even know if I'm going to drive a car or not. So it just felt like a lot of effort. We got out early. I think we left at around 8. I think we left at 8 in the morning. We didn't get back until around 4:30 in the afternoon. And it just feels like you've just spent a whole day, getting this. I don't even have a driver's license yet. I've got to take an eye examination first to check that my eyesight is good. But I don't need to redo a test, like a physical test or a theory test, like a paper test. I don't need to redo any of that. I can just exchange the license after I get this eye test. But it just felt like a lot of effort and a lot of time spent for something that I don't even know if I'm going to use. Like I said before in previous episodes, I've been sort of thinking about maybe getting a car whilst I'm living in Japan, but I don't know. If it was England, absolutely, I'd get a car. Just because you really need one. You don't. It depends where you live, but I think you need one more in England than you do in Japan. You can sort of get away without having a car. You don't necessarily need a car in Japan, but again, that depends where you live. But where I am, I don't really need one. Anyway, this person was asking me all these different questions about like how long did it take you to learn to drive, and the podcast is getting quite long now, so I think I'm going to wrap it up there. But I might do a future episode about like learning to drive in England, because I just realised it was something I've never talked about, and when he was asking me these questions, this person, I realised that actually it is a bit different, isn't it? Like learning to drive in England compared with some other countries, compared with Japan, for example. So yeah, perhaps that is a topic for a future episode. But until then, I'll let you know how my beginner's driver's license is coming along, and I'll update you as soon as I've got it. And I don't know, let's see, maybe I'll get a car, maybe I won't, I don't know, who knows. Anyway, until next time, bye-bye.
Normally, being a little extra might be a bit much, but not when it comes to healthcare. That's why United Healthcare's Health Protector Guard fixed indemnity insurance plans, underwritten by Golden Rule Insurance Company, supplement your primary plan so you manage out-of-pocket costs. Learn more at uh1.com. Normally, being a little extra can be a bit much, but when it comes to healthcare, it pays to be extra. And United Healthcare makes it easy with Health Protector Guard fixed indemnity insurance plans. Underwritten by Golden Rule Insurance Company, they supplement your primary plan, helping you manage out-of-pocket costs without the usual requirements and restrictions like deductibles and enrollment periods. So when it comes to covering your medical bills, you can feel good about being a little extra. Visit uh1.com to find the Health Protector Guard plan for you.
Thanks for listening until the very end of the show. If you've enjoyed this episode, please give my podcast a rating, or if you have the time, write a review. It's a really nice way of letting me know you enjoy these episodes and encourages me to make more of them for you. Thanks very much and have a lovely day.